Measurements in Creative Studio. Measurements are numerical values taken from the shapes you built. In most cases, they represent a length, measured along a contour or in a straight line. But they can also be angles or surface area. Understanding how they work in Gemini will help you boost the development speed and the quality of new patterns. Let's see how it's made. The tools to create a new measurement are found in the Checking and Measurements module. In the upper toolbar you will find contour measurement, line measurement, angle measurement, but also surface area. For a straight length measurement, select the type you need, select the piece you want to measure, click on the start point and on the end point. The value will immediately be visible along the measured section, but also on your right part of the screen, in the activity area. You should know that all measurements must start and end in a point, or any other kind of technical element such as notch, internal hole, button, or internal lines and shapes. You cannot create a relevant measurement by starting or finishing it somewhere in the middle of a line, or just randomly on the surface. The start and end point must be part of the piece you want to measure. The contour measurements will always be executed clockwise, so you have to pay attention to select properly the start and end point, following the clockwise direction. To measure correctly this segment, you have to click on this point first, and then going clockwise you will arrive at the end point. However, don't worry, even if by mistake you measured in the wrong direction, you have this button to invert it. Just click on the button and you will immediately get the correct value. When you measure an open contour, of course clockwise doesn't make sense, so the measurement will always be executed from the first point on the contour to the end, which is rather hard to identify, so you'll just have to try to click and you'll see in which direction the measurement is going. To measure an angle, you can either use the measure angle point function, or you can use the measure angle between 3 points. The measure angle in point function can be used to measure the angle in a corner of a pattern geometry. The measure angle between 3 points function can be used to find the angle between two segments which are not necessarily geometrically identified as a corner on the same pattern geometry. Again, you will notice that the angle is measured clockwise to get the inner angle for the pattern geometry. If you measure contour clockwise, you will get the external angle for the same pattern geometry. However, don't worry, even if by mistake you measured the wrong dimension, you have this button to invert the direction. Just click on it and you will immediately get the correct value. So, executing measurements is simple and straightforward. Now, let's look a bit deeper into seeing and using the measured values. You may notice that once you execute a measurement, initially the value will be displayed in the Context Option tab in the Activity Zone. Here you will always find the current measurement and, when you step to the next action, the previous measured section will be lost. Don't worry, you can save it and embed it permanently into your model. To do this, you should press the Save Measurement button. The measurement will be saved in the Measurements table, which is available in the Application General toolbar. Of course, you will execute and save more than one measurement and store it into this table, therefore it is useful to grant clear names to these measurements, and acronyms to be able to use them later in Formula. You may notice that measurements are not provided just for the base size, but actually, you will get the value for all available sizes in your model. Unlike dimensions for which you see a separate value for each grade, drop spec, or extra. The measurements are executed on the final combined sizes resulting from the Cartesian product of the available grades. All the measurements you executed will remain linked to the model, which means whatever you do on pieces will update the values in real time. Even while you drag a point with the mouse, you can see the values are changing. The values will also change when you alter the gradings, so you will notice that despite the fact that the value on the base size remain the same, you can notice the variation on the graded sizes. All the measurements saved in the measurement table can be displayed directly on the pieces by selecting all measurements at once using Ctrl+A. or one by pressing the control button and using mouse click to select the measurement that needs to be shown or hidden. All measurements discussed so far are directly retrieved from the model. However, the app also provides you with the tool to combine these direct measurements into composed measurements. To do this, you should click on Add Composed Measurement button, and then you must declare the formula through which to get the new value. In the formula, you will use the column name of existing direct measurements and all the arithmetic operators needed. This type of measurements are particularly useful when comparing two sections which must be of the same length, or when having up several sections which together must match the length of another section when sewn together. A faster way to execute combined measurements is by adding up the length of several sections while you measure. To do this, you need to hold and press the control button. While you execute the measurements one by one, click on the start and end point of the first section, then on the start and the end point of the second section, and so on. Once you have added the composed measurement in the measurement table, you can observe the formula that had been used to create the measurement. The formula had been automatically created by the program while the user was taking the measurements by using Control key. Each section added while you press Control will be added to the sum. If instead you hold Control and Shift, each section will be subtracted from the sum. The result will be a combined measurement and also all the individual direct measurements which are comprised. Measurement can be made available for many other stakeholders in the product lifecycle by including them in the printed tech pack or publishing them together with the product in the eShop. By toggling on and off the check mark symbol of the measurement, you can decide if this measurement should be visible or not in the tech pack. Please watch the tutorial for publishing models for a better understanding. Measurements can also be used as input for the parametric construction of other parts in the model, and this topic is detailed in the dedicated tutorial. Now that you understood how measurements are executed, you can fully enjoy using them and get your products ready faster and with better quality.